This is where the fun begins.
Hello there. How's it going?
Hey everyone, Hybrid Tour Reviews here, and today we are taking a look at the Star Wars The Black Series Darth Maul and Sith Speeder from Star Wars The Phantom Menace. I have to give a special thanks to Tommy. He's doing the whole Tommy Show thing over at Blitz Transmissions. Check the link for that in the bio or in the description down below. Always love to give a shout out to the good ones. So, this is the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive from this year, and we gotta talk real quick before getting into it about how well the Sixers, the 1/12 collectors, have shown up. Look, there were some vehicles before. Pretty much all of them hit clearance. There was one thing in common. They were all from the OT and one or two sequels mixed in. And not to flex, but the prequels, they had some really, really cool ships. And so it may have been different at the time. It may not have been different at the time. I'm not saying that's what it is or isn't. But we haven't gotten vehicles in a few years, and they made an allotted quantity for San Diego Comic-Con, and what didn't sell went on sale on Hasbro Pulse and sold out within a half hour of being available to the public. They did a only for premium members for the first, hour? And then 20 minutes into the second hour, when it was available to everyone, totally sold out. Come on, there was something like 3,000 units available. It's basically like saying, hey, if you gave us an 8,000 backer HasLab, we would fund it in 4 hours. So, I just gotta say, we showed up, and that was awesome. So, that hopefully means that there's more vehicles to come. There is a STAP that has been shown that's going to be the PulseCon exclusive here in September. Keep an eye out for that review when it becomes available, because I'm going hard on that one. But without further ado, let's get into the review of the Darth Maul on Sith Speeder. Alright, as always, we start by taking a look at the packaging. Apologies for the glare, but there's a lot of window going on here. So, this is actually in retro Phantom Menace packaging from 1999. Now, there's a whole gimmick going on with the paint deco that we'll talk about further in the review, but this is recreating the 12-inch, doll kind of Darth Maul figure that they did in 1999. It's really cool. Has the accessories off to the sides, and then just Maul on the speeder in the middle of a big open backdrop of Tatooine, which is insane. You have the retro Darth Maul with Star Wars Episode 1 there. Darth Maul and Sith Speeder. Warning, 4+, 25th anniversary of the Phantom Menace. Hasbro logo. Up top, a little bit of window, and then the wraparound with the Episode 1 logo again, and Darth Maul and Sith Speeder. Down below, 6-inch articulated figure, entertainment-inspired vehicle design, the name of the set again, a picture of Maul on the bike, Hasbro logo, Episode 1 logo. This side features all that same stuff again, and this side features all that same stuff again. So, around back, there's a bio about Darth Maul, kind of very generic, but really cool. And then it talks about the vehicle a little bit, which is really cool. And it says the Black Series there with the standard Black Series logo. It kind of deviates from the original packaging design there. You get a barcode, some recycling symbols, and of course your Disney and your stamp in numbers. Nothing to write home about other than it just being very retro, very Phantom Menace looking. I had a lot of these Phantom Menace toys when I was a kid, even though I came in late to the game because you could get them at flea markets for really cheap. So I'm sentimental about this packaging, and it's always good to see this pop up on, the market again. So I'm really happy about it. Let's open it up and get into the review. Here's Darth Maul and the speeder out of the packaging. As always, we're going to start by taking a look at the accessories. So, for starters, just to talk about the little droid, this is one of Darth Maul's, seeker probe type droids, and these are really, really cool in the movie. He has, 3 or 4 of them, and when he lands his infiltrator in the beginning of the Tatooine segment, the 3 or 4 of them, I think it's 3, I think it's pretty confident it's 3, they fly out, and they kind of spread out, and they go looking for Qui-Gon, and eventually Anakin and Padme and everyone. He's on the hunt for the escaped Naboo team. And these are recreated very nicely. They are in just a flat black plastic. There's not any paint on them that I can find. I think they may have been benefited by having a touch of silver. However, there is a little bit of a gimmick going on here where this set isn't painted to be incredibly movie accurate. It's painted to be inspired by the old Hasbro toy from 1999. And so that's why the speeder is kind of more of a tan instead of a gray, because there was something lost in translation between concept art and Hasbro. So even though this may have had some silver paint punch-ins if it was in the normal line, I think that that's kind of in keeping with it being toy-inspired. But it still looks very good. It's a nice sculpt. And yeah, the antenna is very nice and rubbery, too. It was just kind of a little leaning out of the packaging. It's on a nice stand. It's got a ball joint. You can pull it off if you really care to. But I think it's best kept on the stand. The stand is nice, clear, translucent, kind of flares out at the bottom. And it stands very nice, basically just a touch taller than a 6-inch figure. For other accessories, Darth Maul comes with this clip-on wristband with all the buttons on it. This was how he would communicate with the droids, and actually has a little punch-in of gold on each side for one of the buttons on each side. And as you see, it is open, and you are meant to just snap it around his wrist. All of the promo photos had it on his wrist, so people were like, I wonder if it's glued on. It is not glued on. And again, the original toy was in just a solid gray color, so I believe that is why it's gray here. It probably would be better painted were it a regular accessory in the regular line. Now, the binoculars are very nicely painted with a red and black button there. They're a silver paint color with some gunmetal on the handles on each side, and they look really, really good. Setting those aside, here is Darth Maul's double-bladed lightsaber. God forbid they ever give it to us in one piece. I know that, altogether it's very long, but I would assume that they could probably make it in one piece and then just detach one of the blades and have the blade floating instead of making it a two-piece item. Something they did do this time that I like is they put the peg on the side, because it pegs together, they put the peg on the side that doesn't have the belt peg. So you could just put one half on his belt, say this was post, it being cut in half during the duel. That's something that I kind of didn't like on the old one. But it fits together very, very nicely. It's a D-shaped peg, so there's no getting it twisted. And it has a very nice paint. It's kind of a darker silver, but very metallic. It's got the 4 red buttons there. It's got the peg over here. And then down there's the CoverTech wheel. I kind of would have figured the peg would have been where the CoverTech wheel is, but it's whatever. Features 2 very nice red blades. They actually catch the light very nicely. People thought in some of the promo photos that they were almost like solid red plastic and not translucent, but it was just the lighting and the photography. It just caught the blades very well. Thank you, Ood. You can detach the blades like any other Black Series lightsaber, like so. And like I said, there is a peg for belt storage. Moving aside Maul's robe here, moving his arm up, you see way under all these layers is a rubber belt. God, come on, it's bunching in the way. There we go. And there's a rubber belt with a hole in it, and you can peg it in and then kind of swivel it up. And Maul's lightsaber's never really been a straight down hanger anyway on any of these figures, so this was not going to be the time that they accomplished it here, but that's not bad. That looks alright. So, not that you're ever really going to put your Darth Maul's saber on his belt. I mean, let's be fair. So let's put the bike aside, let's put the droid aside, and let's just take a look at Maul. So in the packaging, Maul is wearing his robe. It's not like the original Maul, where it came with a swappable head with a rubber robe. This is all soft goods, and it's actually stitched very, very well. It is, as they say, ribbed for her pleasure. And it just looks really good going around. That kind of ribbed stitching design is kind of elasticy. Goes all the way around. He's got the sleeves that kind of dangle with his arms poking out there. Kind of a weird costume design, but hey, it's Star Wars, and it looks Star Wars-y. So while he has his hand out doing Force stuff, the sleeve just kind of dangles. The hood actually lays very nice around the head, and something that I like are the horns are very pointy, so you can kind of pat the top down, and the horns kind of bite the material, and it makes it lay really nice. So it's got some good facial coverage going on in here, but you can still see him in there looking super cool. Pulling it down for a hood down effect. It's a very soft material, so it kind of bunches a little bit, but if you fight it, like any soft goods cloak, it will eventually more or less lay. Now, for removing the cloak, it does have a stitch in the center and the front there, so you actually have to remove it kind of like you would a t-shirt. You would take the arms up over the head, and you just got to fish the sleeves up, and it's a little bit of an awkward process, but we're going to get there in the end. Come on. If every little girl in the world can do this with a Polly Pocket, I can do it with a Black Series. Come on. There we go. Pops over the sleeve. The sleeves kind of have that billowy thing, going on mid-bicep. So, something you might see here, and it is a little frustrating, is all these little fabricy tattered bits for his inner skirt. Now, I'll tell you exactly why they did it. They did it for the ability to sit on the speeder. Because if he had the rubber tassels down in the front, then he most certainly would not be able to sit down, at least without permanently forming those in a seating position. And no one likes that on a modern action figure. Now, these are soft material, just like the outer cloak, and you can get them to lay. You just have to kind of work with them a little bit. And I don't think it looks bad, but to bring in the, not original Darth Maul, but the archive Darth Maul, which, is just the original photo reel. As you see, he had like the rubber tassels that kind of hold the fabric inner skirt down. That is a good blend. And the Darth Maul that comes in the 3-pack with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan actually will feature that rubber overlay. And so therefore, we can only assume that the Darth Maul that comes in the standard Phantom Menace packaging later this year will also feature that rubber overlay. This is merely exclusive to the speeder bike version. However, this is going to be a great way to get an early look at the new Darth Maul, because this is a head-to-toe new sculpt. Looking at the head, this does look really, really good. Now, I have heard some people say that it does not represent Ray Park as Darth Maul, that this is more like a Clone Wars head, and that was more of a generic head. Now, I've always kind of been thrown on that a little bit, because my thing is, especially bringing in this older Maul, yeah, I guess the base sculpt here is kind of generally different, but Maul has so much going on with all those facial tattoos and everything that it is really hard to tell who that is. Let's be fair, Ray Park could walk past you on the sidewalk, walking down the street tomorrow, and unless you are a mega super nerd like any of us that collect Star Wars action figures, you're probably not going to recognize the guy. And even then, I mean, he's a very normal, ordinary looking guy, and when you get all these tattoos going on, you kind of lose the likeness in it. So for me personally, I'm not mega upset here. I think it looks like Darth Maul, and I'm satisfied with it. He features all of his head horns. The tattoos are applied very cleanly and straight on. The eyes look really, really good. You can see the yellowing around the pupils in there, and it's just a really, really cool effect. People were saying that he's lost his earring. I guess Darth Maul had an earring, and the original Black Series, they say, had that. I guess there's a little stud there, isn't there? Again, I mean, cool, but until this whole behind the scenes thing came out, I never even noticed in the movie. So it's one of those minute things, right? I think it's all right. Now, looking at the sculpt of the robes, I do really like what's going on here. You have a little bit of a layering effect where you've got a little bit of an overlay over the chest, and that's all right. Nothing wrong with that. It's a complete and totally new sculpt, as I mentioned, and no reuse of anything that I can find, and that is a good thing, because the original Darth Maul had some of the worst legs in the line, and these legs, which are easy to look at due to that soft good skirt, are completely new sculpts, very nice and baggy pants. They do feature an upper thigh cut, so I guess that's not completely going away. Features the new single hinge swivel knee, and it's just an all-around perfect upgrade. Something that's a little frustrating to me is, as I've been articulating him, the belt likes to kind of push up and underneath there, and only on the side that has the peg for the lightsaber hilt. So that's incredibly frustrating, because you kind of want to peg the lightsaber hilt onto his belt, and it just makes it a unpleasant experience. But there, if you actually position it so, you actually see there's a little bit of a sculpted divot into the upper tunic robes that when you plug it in, it kind of nests in there in the straight down position. That's actually really cool. I like to see that. Of course, when you get them kind of seated on the bike, that probably is going to get lost. So it's probably just one of those accessories that's going to end up in the bin. Although, I don't know, that looks all right. Maybe I'll try and put it on him when he's on the bike. But it's really cool. And as you see with the soft goods skirt, you can, of course, get him in a perfect seating position. So all in all, I got to say, as far as appearances look, this looks like it's going to be a really, really good figure. And I like what we're getting here, even with the soft goods, which are a little frustrating, but they serve a purpose. And I'm incredibly excited to get Darth Maul in the upcoming single-carded format, because I have no use for that 3-pack. Let's run through the articulation real quick, and I played with him a little before we started the review, so spoiler alert, it's pretty good, but he features a double ball jointed neck, which is standard. It doesn't look that far up and that far down. side to side, 360 if you wanted, and a ton of pivot for all that attitude he has, all that Sith sass. Arms come up to a T-pose where there's a good butterfly joint, already an insane upgrade. Single jointed elbows can go a little past 90, swivel at the elbow. There is a glove rotation, which is cool but redundant because the wrist can go all the way around, up and down and in and out because these are ball jointed wrists. These actually have a little more range than most of the ball jointed wrists that I've seen on other figures in the line. It's a newer gimmick that they've been doing, and I don't dislike the gimmick, but it's kind of like on some figures it just doesn't have great range. On Maul it does. He has a mid-torso ball joint, allows him to crunch that far forward, that far back, you know, all the side to side you want, and a really good pivot there. You see that belt's rising up on the side there again. Why is it only that side? And then the legs can come out to a true splits, straight forward, not much back. There's an upper thigh rotation, as mentioned, with the single jointed knees that go 290 and swivel. There is a boot swivel in there, which is awesome. Can't do a 360 because of like the bagginess of the pants, but you can get a little bit of pivot, and that's nice. Feet can point straight down, pretty far forward, and there's a forward-facing pin for rocker, allowing you to get them into some pretty decently wide stances with both feet flat on the ground. So real quick, before we get to the speeder, I just want to do a quick size comparison. So standing Maul there, I first want to bring in the original Maul. That is as close together as the feet can get, and they are clocking basically at the same height, so it's nice that they've retained that bit of consistency. And here's Maul with our Phantom Menace loadout. Some of these are only from this year, and man, has 2024 been the year of Phantom Menace love. I have been absolutely enjoying all of these special releases of Anakin and Padme. Darth Maul on the speeder is an excellent addition, and he looks really good. Of course, he is the shortest here other than Padme and Anakin. And that is just accurate. Darth Maul is not a 6-foot tall man. He's a little under. He's probably something like 5'8", if I had to guess. Which is nothing wrong. Short Kings, again, Blitz Transmissions. Check them out in the description below. Short Kings rule. But this is just a really good scale, and I'm just really happy to see how he's worked out with the other figures. Now, we got to take a look at that vehicle. And here we have this beautifully done Sith speeder. Now, as mentioned, this Sith speeder is not painted as is depicted in the movie. In the movie, it is a lot darker, it's a lot of grays, and that is A-okay, but this is depicting the Kenner toy, or the Hasbro toy, that was in that packaging that we saw that this came in. So, it's kind of a homage to those 90s kids that had this toy, but I'll say for me personally, I don't mind because it is a beautiful sculpt. And, you know, I'm glad to get vehicles back in the line, and it's been so long, and the fact that it sold out instantly gives me faith that maybe they might do a rerun of this that's actually painted correctly. And if they don't, I'm going to be honest, the Darth Maul speeder, not like the most iconic thing in my personal opinion, not something that I've been dying for in the line, but it is a really nice scale for a 6-inch figure vehicle. It's not too big, it's not teeny tiny, it's probably one of the smaller things they could have done, right up there with the Stap, which then they announced, and it just looks really good. So it's done in a pretty much tan base. It's kind of like a more gray tan with more of a tan, you know, on some of these panels. It's got a really nice kind of orange leathery, you know, seat going on with some orange, I guess that's padding there. The seat pads are actually like a soft, squishy rubber, so, you know, it's nice and ergonomic, you know, very cushy for the Darth Maul tushy. But it looks really cool. He actually has some controls going on in there, like buttons and little screens and stuff, and that is awesome. And it's got kind of everything you would expect to see. The handles pivot up and down. I guess you can fold them down for storage if you care to do so. This piece kind of has a little wobble in it, but it's whatever. One of the things that the older vehicles all had, except for the dewback, which was not a vehicle, that was a lizard, but all of the other vehicles, they had these like panels that you could pop off that would show you like engine components and stuff. I'm not finding any of that here. It seems to just be a big solid block. There's nothing wrong with that. Look, those features were really, really cool, but I never ever used them. They were just something where I was like, oh, neat. And you know what? It drives the cost up. And again, neat that it's there, and maybe do it on the odd SDCC piece, But, like, as far as anything that's ever going to come in mainline, I don't care if I can see the not even really painted engine going on. Like, it's whatever. And so that's all right for me. It comes on a clear stand. It's kind of like an opaque clear, not as clear as like the stand for the droid. And it's got a ball joint on that, which is cool. It's got a little bit of a teardrop effect going on. So I don't know, it kind of gets smaller in the back. But, of course, it balances well, and you can basically bring the spikes for the wheels, or the front footrests, not wheels. No wheels on a speeder. But you can bring them straight down into the dirt, or you can pop a wheelie with them, or you can keep them in a more neutral upright pose. Gives you a little bit of pivot, so you make it look like he's steering. And all in all, it is just a really, really cool looking vehicle, painted very nicely, and I'm incredibly satisfied with it. To put Darth Maul on it, he's a really well-articulated figure, so it's not too bad. I will say any figure getting put on a speeder is going to be a little bit clunky, but you basically got to get him in a rough sitting pose, and we're going to just get him gnashed down like so, meshed down around the seat, and he's almost in position. Putting the hands on the handlebars are generally the easier side of things. And then these footrests actually feature pegs in the back, which match up with the heel pegs of the action figure. And again, you just have to straighten the legs to the right degree and use your boot rotation. And eventually, you'll get him to where he is sitting here with both feet pegged into the foot pegs. And then straighten him up a little bit. And there you have one Darth Maul riding his speeder, and it is just a really, really cool shelf presence, and I'm just really happy with how that looks. Now that he's on the speeder, let's do another size comparison. Once more, when seated on the speeder, Darth Maul is the smallest guy in the room, other than the child and the very short girl actress. But that's all right. It's not a huge vehicle. You know, it's basically just a swoop chopper kind of thing, and that's A-okay. But I'm really, really happy with how this looks, and it's going to be a good addition to the shelf. Let's get into the wrap-up. So at the end of the day, what do I think of Darth Maul and his Sith speeder? I love this release. This is an amazing SDCC special edition, and I'm incredibly happy to have been able to get my hands on it. Thank you again to Tommy from Blitz Transmissions, just amazing friend hooking a brother up. This is an incredible piece, and I'm so happy to have it. This is the perfect thing to do for a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive piece, where it's a little bit of a unique deco, but, you know, if you miss out on it, maybe you're not totally missing out. But us Black Series collectors, us Sixers, always show up when our line gets something cool. People want to throw a HasLab in our face, as if it wasn't a bad HasLab with bad tears. Sorry the Rancor was mismanaged, but this was done well. People, vehicles are back. All I'm saying is that there was a rumor going around where if the speeder did well, and then especially if the STAP goes well, which we all know it is, a vehicle at this price point that's army buildable, it's going to do all right. There is a rumor, and I gotta say, it's just a trust me, I know a guy kind of thing that I've heard from a guy and I know has heard from a different guy, but very, very reliable sources are saying that there are Revenge of the Sith vehicles coming if these do well. Having sold out in an hour and a half, these are doing well. So keep an eye out. Next year is going to be a good year to be a prequel collector. This is a great way to kick it off, and I'm just incredibly happy. Thank you to all the collectors that helped pick this one up and have made future vehicles a possibility for Black Series collectors. If you are on the fence about it, I believe they have an order up now for a upcoming batch. They're going to be making more because, again, it sold out in an hour and a half. Obviously, there's demand. So there's more coming. Go check it on Hasbro Pulse. For the price of $60, is it a fair pickup? Come on. I think so. It's a pretty fair thing. Think about it. Darth Maul is a $25 figure. If you sell him, you know, in the box, he's $25. He's not deluxe. So you've got $35 of value, and we can say the droid is worth $5 and the speeder's worth $30. Like, come on, math it out. Do whatever you gotta do, whatever mental gymnastics it takes. This is a clear as day pickup, and I'm incredibly amped about it. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching. It means a lot that you did. If you enjoyed, you should leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that cool stuff. Check the link in the description below to check out Blitz Transmissions. Thank you again. Check out my Discord. There's a link to my Discord in the description down below. I'm really excited to finally have my own Discord, and I think it's going to be really fun. So that's it. Until next time, may the Force be with each and every one of you, and goodbye.